Hey everyone, my name is Olga and welcome back to my channel. And today we're gonna try a new eyeshadow palette from NATASHA DENONA. Eye Sculpt Texture and Tone Palette. Dramatic. If you're interested in soft palette, a review is already available. I will leave a link down below in the description box, and if I don't forget about it, I will leave it here as well. Today we are gonna try only dramatic palette. You're gonna see swatches for looks using only this palette. Yep. And as well wear test. So take a seat and let's go. Our first look is gonna be quite dark, and I wanna try these two shades, the black one and this dark metallic shade. It shifts a little bit. It's like dark purple with a bit of blue and with extra golden glitters. I wanna apply it on my eyelid, and that's why I'm gonna use the black one as a main shade today. And of course we're gonna use something more brownie for blending the edges, most likely. Not this one. This one is way too dark. It's like dark brown. Lovely shade. So I will use probably this shade as a mid-tone shade because it's even a little bit neutral, but that's great. And for blending everything into skin, I need something lighter, of course. And as an option, I will probably mix these two shades actually with yellow undertone. Yeah, and we're gonna add something golden on the lower lid. Now I think that it may look quite interesting. Let's start, and of course we're gonna start from black, starting from a flat brush. And I shouldn't have any creases here. And starting from the center. Quite lovely black. If we compare it to the black we have in soft palette, this one looks even darker at some point. Applying till the crease. Now I need a small one. Again, applying till the crease. Not higher, because otherwise... Anyway, when you're gonna blend, and when I'm gonna blend the shade, I will kind of move it a little bit up. So ideally I shouldn't apply a lot in the beginning. As well, applying on the lower lid in the outer corner. Here, no. Applying till the pupil. Now it's time to add a bit of brown, and I'm gonna use the shade for blending the black one. Adding it exactly near the line and kind of blending the edge here. I'm not gonna add a lot, at least right now. I will add a bit more later on. For now, I just adding a little bit. Adding something later on a slightly bigger brush. And again, blending the edges carefully and adding more of the shade in the outer part. I shouldn't have lots of dark here. Ideally, I should move to brown. Again, carefully blending the edges. Time to try the lighter shades from the palette. And it's yellow. I wish we had something more neutral here, but no. And I wanna use just simply this palette. I don't like it as a part of this look. It looks not the way that I want it. I'm gonna use a setting powder for blending the edges because I don't like this yellow shade here. Okay. So I'm gonna use a powder. Let's try this beauty. I'm gonna add it in the center. Actually, I can't... It's a little bit kind of dry or what? Okay, finally have something. No, it's not that dry. Instead, it's way probably too creamy. But I mean, it takes time. Fine. Let's start from the center. And moving the shade in different directions. It has visible black base. So you can apply it only over something black or probably gray. And don't forget to blend the edges because otherwise, the base is gonna be visible, the black one. But you know what? I thought that this shade would be more kind of glittery, but it's not that glittery, unfortunately. Let's add something golden in the inner corner. This shade is slightly kind of even satin, I would say. So we are gonna add it right here. What's left on my brush, more than to the lower lid. Now I need a mid-tone shade. And let's try this one. I'm gonna apply it closer to the outer corner right here for blending the edges and for blending the black one. Now I need something here, something dark golden, and I wanna use, let's try this shade. Adding in between. Grabbing the yellow one. Because this one, this golden shade, it looks a little bit transparent. And ideally we should apply it over something. So now it should be a little bit better. Time to add something near the lash line and inner waterline. I'm gonna use just simply a black pencil. Pushing between the lashes, first of all, adding near the lash line. We shouldn't have any empty spaces. Like here I have visible skin and it shouldn't be the case. So adding, oh, and of course blending the edges. Finished look. And eyeshadows on this side. They started to crease. Unfortunately, yeah, it took me some time to do this hairstyle, as today I'm gonna film some videos. And yeah, look. They creased here. On this side, everything is fine. On this side, I used the eyeshadow primer. That's a little bit sad. If you don't mind, I will add a bit of black with you, but at least now you know, because damn, I haven't even started to film other videos and they creased. It's so weird. Adding a bit more right here. Oh, I hope that it's not gonna be visible on other videos, but it's sad. That's a little bit sad. Damn it. I should have applied a bit more powder before doing the look. Whatever. Whatever. Now, let me tell you what I'm wearing currently on lips. Actually, I'm wearing only two products. Lip liner from Maybelline. I like this product, shade 5. It's gorgeous. And a kind of a lip balm from Vivienne Saboa, a makeup brand from Russia. You can buy it in Germany, actually. Shade 1, but this product was limited. Back to our beauty. You know what? When I opened this palette and when I did swatches, I was kind of a little bit impressed and I thought that, yeah, it may work. But when I started to do a look today, I realized that even if you have medium skin tone and medium to dark skin tones, we still don't have shades for blending edges, for blending all eyeshadows into skin. Yeah, I do agree, in case of darker skin tones, we can use such shades, but ideally we need something a little bit lighter, because this shade, for instance, it's more like, it's not really that mid-tone, I would say. It's quite dark. This shade is the only one that is more or less light, but not all girls with medium and dark skin tones have yellow undertone. We all have different undertones, so that's why I was a little bit, and I'm still a little bit confused. So all looks are gonna be quite dark. It's okay, but I mean, in my case, I definitely need some lighter, at least several light shades. But I will do what I can, and I will use only this particular palette. It's still quite lovely, but I had some issues and I still have some issues, and I think that it should be visible that here some shades, they kind of, I couldn't blend them perfectly and they got stuck a little bit, especially right here. So if we talk about black, well, actually black is okay, but if we talk about this shade and a mix of these two, this makes it can stuck a little bit, so you should be careful. I still like what I have currently on. I still like it, and I still think that it looks quite okay and quite lovely. But I'm like a little bit questioned. Not sure. I'm just simply not sure about this palette. But it's just the first look, so we'll see how it goes. Okay, guys, now I'm gonna show you eye look closely, and we'll see each other in the evening. I have my makeup on today around 9 hours, and let's check everything out. On this side, I've used an eyeshadow primer. On this side, no. No, no, no. And on this side, despite the fact that I've added more and applied right here a bit more eyeshadows, they still creased. And they creased right here as well, a little bit. Not kind of way too badly, but still they creased. On this side, no issues at all. Talking about metallics, I have some glitters right here, actually. Not that many, but I have them. So yeah, I suppose some glitters, they can easily fall off, especially these glitters. Matte shadows, they are still quite bright and they still look quite okay. Second look, and today when I try this line, of course I will add more shades, but this beauty is gonna be our star for the day, and I want to try all shades from this line. And we are gonna do following. I'm gonna use something darker in the outer part and in the inner part, and in the middle we are gonna add something light. And that's the plan, at least. Maybe I will draw a wing as an extra. We'll see how it goes. And let's start from the darkest shade, actually. It's not gonna be, I will use one more shade as an extra, probably this one, to make this shade darker. And starting from the outer corner, first of all, adding the shade in the outer corner. Well, it's quite dark and pigmented, but I still will add a bit more. Adding till the crease, and as well adding the shade and moving it to the lower lid, and adding in the inner corner as well and moving to the lower lid. Now I need a bigger blush, and let's try this shade, taking off extra just in case, and blending the edges. Well, honestly, these two, they look almost the same. Okay. Maybe this shade is a little bit warmer, and this one looks a bit darker and kind of more red. Grabbing a bit of powder, it's a setting powder from e.l.f. and I want to use it for blending the edges, because currently it looks too much and I should blend this area. And no, I don't want to use the yellow shade anymore for doing it, as it's way too yellow. Let's try this beauty. We'll use it near the outer and inner corners. So exactly near the matte shade. Nice transition shade. Let's try this beauty. We'll add it in the center. Actually, this shade is a little bit kind of weird. It's getting kind of separated into small pieces. Adding in the center. Adding brown near the lash line and pushing it between the lashes. And as well adding the shade closer to the outer corner and inner corner, and blending the edges a little bit. I will add matte brown shade as an extra in the waterline in the middle. right here under the pupil, adding something bronzy. This shade is discontinued. It's a makeup brand from Belarus. And as well adding it right here. As an extra, I will add some glitters here, but I'm using the shade as a kind of a base. And of course, immediately blending the edges. And I wanna add, let's add the same actual shade. Now I wanna add a bit of brown. I'm gonna use this one today. We'll add it near the lash line and in the outer corner and in the inner corner, and blending the shade into the previous one. And as well adding the shade near the lash line right here. Finished look. And I'm wearing false lashes today. And these 3 products on my lips. So lip liners, and I applied at the beginning a lip liner from Luxe Visage. It's a makeup brand from Belarus in shade 66. And in the corners here, I've added a bit of Fifth in shade Rumors. This shade is definitely kind of darker than this one. And yeah, this combo looks quite lovely. And as well, I've added a bit of this beauty from Fenty Beauty in shade Fussy. Fussy, lovely lip topper. I like it. My thoughts. Kind of my thoughts. I like what I have currently on my eyes. Yeah, the look looks quite lovely. But I still think that we need more kind of... if you have light skin tone, this palette is a little bit tricky because we don't have any light shades. Ideally, we should have at least some, but it seems to me that in the perfect world, you should have both palettes actually, and you should combine them. And today we've tried 5 new shades actually. My eyeshadows were quite okay. It was easy to work with them. I did my look within 20 minutes. Of course, I had to spend a bit of time for adding false lashes, but if you don't want to wear false lashes, it might take around 15-20 minutes. It depends. Of course, it depends. If you're new to makeup, of course, it would take definitely longer. I'm referring... Sorry. Why I said it. It's easy to blend these matte eyeshadows. They are blendable, you can layer them easily, and they don't stuck. At least they didn't stuck today. So that's why it's kind of nice. But this metallic shade, it's kind of a little bit tricky. Yes, it's kind of creamy. And it's so hard to grab it on a brush. It's so hard to apply this shade. It's like... not that easy. This one, it's a basic metallic. It was quite easy to work with it, but this shade, oh my gosh, it took time. So guys, now I'm gonna show you eye look closely, and we'll see each other in the evening. I have my makeup on today around 12 hours, and it's time to check everything out. On this side, I used an eyeshadow primer and eyeshadows. Actually, they didn't crease, they look great. On this side, they started to crease a little bit, but mainly shimmers. Talking about under eye area, I have a bit of shimmers, but not that many glitters, but still I can see some. It's kind of funny. I used today a waterproof mascara from L'Oreal, and I have mascara right here. Oh my gosh, it's so weird. My eyeshadows, they look great, still bright enough, and no questions, no issues. Third look, and today I want to do something kind of simple and basic, and I want to use these 3 shades. Well, first of all, I want to use these 2 matte shades, and as well I want to try probably this one, and I will use it on my upper lid, I think. And these two guys I will use on my lower lid. Maybe as an extra I will add something else. We still haven't tried this shade and these two guys. So probably I will, I don't know, we should try everything. So we'll see how it goes. Probably now. I changed my mind. Let's start from this shade and I will use it on my upper lid. These formula, these matte shades are a little bit dusty, so don't forget to take off extra. And I want to have slightly lifted look today. And as I've told you, we are gonna do something basic and simple. Adding the shade till the crease, blending the edges a little bit. Changing the brush and let's try this shade. It's a little bit warmer. Oh, sorry, it's a little bit lighter. They both are quite warm and I want to try it as a crease shade. They look so similar. But okay. Blending the edges and maybe I need a powder for blending the edges here. Let's do it. Gonna use a powder from e.l.f. It's satin. And using it for blending edges here. Taking off extra just in case and blending. I'm thinking of adding a bit of this one. Maybe it's gonna be a bad idea, but you know, let's try a little bit. I want to add it closer to the outer corner and I will blend it into the previous shade. Right here. So kind of adding extra definition. Wow, it's quite pigmented, quite dark. Back to the previous shade and blending these two guys together. That was a little bit tricky, but okay. And I think that I could blend them together. Here I have an issue as always, as I have an issue with my skin right here. But you know, it's doable. It's doable. Now let's try this beauty, the darkest metallic. Well, it's not really the darkest, almost. And I want to add it closer to the outer corner, right here, as a transition shade, kind of. What's left on my brush applying? Well, it's actually quite pigmented. And quite dark. Okay, blending the edges, because this shade has a visible base and I shouldn't keep it as it is. Now we need something lovely and golden, and let's add this beauty. I want to add it in the center, but I used the wrong brush and couldn't grab this beauty on the previous one, so I changed a brush. Adding in the center and applying above the crease here. Applying leftovers. So just simply glitters. Moving to the lower lid and let's try this shade. So I wanted to try it, so it's time. Adding it closer to the outer corner. Yes, it contains a bit of yellow. It's visible, but it's fine. It's great. Adding till the pupil and blending the edges a little bit. In the inner corner, adding yellow. Maybe, most likely, I will add some metallics here, but we'll see. Oh, it's so yellow. Near the pupil, adding golden metallic. Near the lash line, adding brown. And of course, pushing this shade between the lashes. And unexpectedly, I want to have something slightly green, slightly olive in the waterline. So adding finished look. And I'm wearing a mascara today and these two products on my lips. Catrice and Catrice. Area of Senses, shade 40, oh no, sorry, shade 50. And a lip balm in shade 40. These two guys are great. And they work nicely together, and as a result they have fall autumn look. I like what I have currently on my eyes. Actually, everything looks quite great. And some thoughts, guys, some thoughts. It was quite easy again, but I'm not a big fan of these metallics, I think, at least of these two shades. It's so hard to apply them. It's so hard to do it. Of course, you can use your fingers, but if you're a makeup artist, we shouldn't really use our fingers that often. And ideally, we should use brushes. And it's like, it's doable, but you have to find a specific brush. You have to find the correct brush. Well, this shade actually has the same problem. These three guys are okay. My eyeshadows, unfortunately, they are a little bit dusty, and I'm referring to this particular formula, not to this one. And you just have to take it into account. You can easily blend eyeshadows together. You can adjust the shade. I think that I have a bit of something patchy here. Do I? Because in person it's not visible. Sometimes when I edit videos, I can see more. That's why sometimes I leave some extra comments. Because in person, everything looks quite okay. And of course, it depends on lighting as well. I'm not quite sure. I'm not quite sure about this, but it's quite dark. It's definitely quite dark, and I wish we had at least several lighter shades. And I haven't tried only two matte eyeshadows from this palette. Okay, guys, now I'm gonna show you eye look closely, and we will see each other in the evening. I have my makeup on today, almost 12 hours, and let's check everything out. On this side, I haven't used an eyeshadow primer, and actually everything looks great, and eyeshadows, they didn't crease. I would say almost nothing. My eyeshadows are quite bright, metallic shades, they look okay. Talking about under eye area, I actually have some glitters. And I think that I have these glitters right here. Not that many, but yeah, a little bit. Final look, and we're gonna have a bit of fun because I want to have orange smoky eyes today. As we haven't tried with you only these two shades, I want to try them together, and I want to mix and blend them together. And actually as well, I want to add something a little bit green right here, closer to the inner corner, and probably a bit of black. And maybe I will draw a kind of a wing using this black shade, and we will try to blend it. At least that's a plan. Not quite sure about a win. Not yet, at least. We'll see how it goes. But definitely, I want to have, and I want to do smoky eyes. We're going to start from this shade. It's creamy. Actually, fun fact, it's the only creamy shade in this palette. That's a little bit weird, but okay. Especially if we compare this palette to the soft one. Starting from the center and adding this shade directly on the upper lid. Beautiful. Quite interesting shade, by the way. And definitely pigmented. And as well adding it on my lower lid. Starting from the outer part, and actually here I should add it a little bit more. Moving till the pupil. Here I want to have a bit of green. Of course, I will use some liners. Adding more near the lash line. The shade is, way too pigmented, and that's great. It was quite easy. Moving a little bit upper. Here I have an issue with my skin. I just don't have skin. A bit of skin right here, so I should be extremely careful here. Okay, now let's try this shade. And again, I will have to use a powder for blending edges because we don't have any light shades here. Okay, this one looks a little bit lighter and more kind of yellow. Powder time, Elf shade, fair warm, grabbing a bit, and I'm gonna use it for blending edges right here. Let's add a bit of shimmers. Let's probably try to add this shade, and I want to add it using my fingers because I don't like the way this shade and actually some other shades are getting applied by a brush. They're way too creamy and it's just simply hard to do. What's left on my finger, applying kind of a little bit above the crease, but just a little bit here. I've applied way too much. It looks patchy now. So back to my lightest shade, to my powder, and kind of blending and taking off extra. Time to add some liners. It's a waxy liner. I'm adding it near the lash line and I'm pushing it between the lashes. Let's add it in the waterline right here. Again, adding it till the pupil and adding it near the lash line here, and of course blending edges, moving a little bit up because anyway I'm gonna have a kind of a small wing here. I'm gonna use a pencil from Essence, shade 32. I don't think that it's still available. I think that it might be discontinued. Adding it closer to the inner corner. Honestly, it's not that pigmented, but that's okay. At least it might be layered. And of course, blending. And you know what? Adding black till the inner corner. Let's add a bit of black. Taking off extra, just in case, because this shade, it's a little bit dusty. And adding the shade near the lash line and kind of drawing a wing and immediately blending edges. And as well adding the shade near the lash line. I want to blend a bit more, grabbing neutral brown, taking off extra just in case, and adding the shade right here. Using it for blending edges. Finished look. And I'm wearing false lashes. And on my lips I have these three products. Two lip liners, L'Oreal shade 635, worth it medium. It's warm tone. And a lip liner from Banana Beauty. Not quite sure about a name, Xoxo or something like this. It's cool tone and it contains shimmers. And I don't really get when we have some shimmers in lip liners. I mean, it's like, it's weird. It's a little bit weird. And the lip gloss from Kiki Milano, shade 6. I like what I have currently on my eyes. I like this look, and it was easy. It was easy to work with these eyeshadows, but these two shades, they look way too similar on eyelids, and that's a little bit sad, I would say. Same thing here, same thing here. I don't really get it. Of course, yeah, it makes sense to use them, these lighter shades, for blending darker shades, but they are way too similar. They're way too close. Ideally, I would prefer having something a little bit lighter even here, and in this case, I think that it would be kind of better. My personal thoughts and my personal opinion. But it was easy to work with these eyeshadows, and today I did my look within, I would say, 15 minutes, maybe 20 minutes. But of course I spent a bit more time on applying lashes, on cleaning up everything. So that's okay. Fine. Fine. Now I'm gonna show you eye look closely and we will see each other in the evening. I have my makeup on today around 10 hours, and let's check everything out. On this side, I haven't used an eyeshadow primer, and eyeshadows, they almost didn't crease. I would say like they didn't crease, and it looks okay. On this side, everything looks perfect. My eyeshadows are still bright, and yeah, great. I have some glitters right here, but I have them since the beginning. So maybe some single shivers, they probably fell off, but I don't think that many. Time to discuss everything, and of course we're gonna start from some basic information. These new eyeshadow palettes from NATASHA DENONA, they cost more than 90 euro, around 93 euro, depending on the specific website. You can find them on sales from time to time. I ordered and I paid for a single palette 68 point something euro. I took them on sales. And I don't regret, and I think that it's nice. If you have a chance taking something on sales, grab it on sales. Here we have more than 90 grams. If we compare this dramatic palette to the soft palette, here we have 19 grams, just simply 19. Let me quickly double check. Yeah, and here we have 21.10 grams. So here we have more product. And as a reminder, these eyeshadow palettes from NATASHA DENONA, they are made in Italy. And I wanna raise and I wanna pay your attention to amount of a product we have here. Here we have more than here, but still, we pay 90 euro, more than 90 euro for 21 grams. But if we talk about basic eyeshadow palettes from NATASHA DENONA, they cost 72, 73 euro, and normally we have around 19 or around 18 grams. Sometimes we have less, it depends, but still. For instance, NATASHA DENONA Bloom palette, we have here 17.75 grams. Golden palette, we have 18.9 grams. Retro palette, we have 19.25. I need a warm palette. We have 18.15 grams. And I'm rating it because we pay more for more or less the same amount of product. Moreover, if we compare these palettes side by side, this one looks bigger. This one looks bigger, and I don't really get why we pay more. Because we don't have that much product here. Yes, we have more shades. We have 18 shades, while here we have 15 shades, but we have less product here again. And if we compare a single refill from this palette to a single refill from these palettes, here we have less product. And I don't really think that it's kind of fair and nice. Moving to quality time. And this palette we have 12 matte eyeshadows and 6 metallic shades, but we have different texture and different formulas here. Fun fact, if we talk about basic matte shades, because here we have one cream shade here, and other 11 shades, they are kind of more basic matte shades from NATASHA DENONA, they have different quality and they feel a little bit differently. Some shades are more creamy, some shades are a little bit drier. So I can't tell you that quality is way too stable. It depends on a specific shade. Some shades, it's easy to blend and it's easy to work with all shades, but some shades might be a little bit more kind of dusty and they can stuck a little bit. Not all shades, just several, but still that's the case and you should take it into account. Talking about metallic shades, we have different textures here. We have at least, I would say, 3 textures. And if we talk about these 3 eyeshadows, it's not that easy to grab them and it's not that easy to apply them with a brush. Ideally, you should use your fingers or you should find a specific brush that would work with these specific eyeshadows because they are way too kind of creamy and you just simply can't grab them on a brush. They are kind of, you're going over, and it appears to me and it seems to me that sooner or later we're gonna have some hard pans in this palette, and mainly I'm referring to these 3 shades. Talking about these 2 guys, they are basic. I would say it's a basic metallic formula from NATASHA DENONA, nothing new. Beautiful transition shades, you can easily apply them with a brush. They look perfectly, they don't really crease. And this shade looks kind of similar to this one, but it contains some extra golden glitter. So I can't really tell you that it's a kind of a basic metallic shade from Natasha Denona, not fully. It's just a little bit more glitter. Talking about metallics from this palette, of course they can crease. If you have hooded eyes, deep eyes, oily brown skin, guys, that's expected. It's always going to be the case, and you just simply have to take it into account and ideally use some eyeshadow primers or creamy eyeshadows or liquid eyeshadows, and then apply such products over. And in this case, you shouldn't have any fallouts and you shouldn't have any creases. Well, you still may have some fallouts, let's be honest, at least a little bit, but it shouldn't be that bad. Talking about this beautiful creamy formula, I skipped it, sorry. Here we have only one shade. It's an amazing formula. It's creamy, it's soft, it's easy to work with it, it's easy to blend it. And if you've tried this soft palette, here we have more shades like this. And here we have exactly the same formula. And this formula is stunning. It doesn't stack. And if we compare it to some eyeshadow palettes that we had previously, I think that now this formula is a little bit kind of updated and it's easier to work with it. It's easier to grab it and it's easier to blend it. And I think that here in I Need a Warm palette, we actually have this formula. It's this shade, it's called Flash Over. But if we talk about Retro palette, there we had a similar formula, but it wasn't that easy to grab it. It was a little bit too creamy and sometimes I felt like it's a heartburn at some point. Here it shouldn't be really the case. I think that this formula was updated. From the wearing point of view, I've told you already that metallic shades, they can crease. That's expected because they are creamy. Unfortunately, some shimmers, they can fall off, and especially this shade. This shade, it's kind of way too creamy from one side, but from the other side, it's a little bit dry. I really don't know how to explain it differently. Because when I touch it, I feel like we have glitters here, and due to this, it feels a little bit dry. But when I grab this product on a brush, I feel like, yeah, it's still quite creamy. And this shade is actually quite patchy, just in case. And when you grab it on the brush, you can barely see these glitters. That's the thing, that's the trick. And these glitters, they can fall off. Unfortunately, this shade and this one, they, again, extra glitters, they can fall off a little bit, especially while being applied. So be careful while applying them. And if you're gonna use an eyeshadow primer and so on, you shouldn't have that many issues. Matte eyeshadows, they don't fade. They are great from the wearing point of view, but be careful with such creamy shades. Again, if you have hooded eyes, deep eyes, and extremely oily skin, in your case, such matte eyeshadows, they can crease. They can crease because they're way too creamy. It's easy to blend these eyeshadows, as I've told you, but some shades are a little bit more dusty, as I've told you. These two shades, they might be a little bit patchy, unfortunately, especially this one. This black one, it feels kind of weird a little bit because it reminds me of a basic matte formula from Natasha Denona, but from the other side, when you touch this shade, it feels more creamy, and that's kind of interesting, I would say. But yes, it can stack a little bit. Other shades, no, I haven't noticed any issues while working with them and while applying them. Now let's talk about color story. Of course, I'm going to describe you all these shades, but before I want to show you this beautiful paper. I think that it's an amazing idea that you have a kind of a hint here. You know which shades you can combine. You know which shades you can apply where. And if you're new to makeup, I think that it's a nice idea. I think that it's a gorgeous idea. Same thing, if we talk about soft palette, we have exactly the same paper. And on the other side, we have all information about undertones. These eyeshadows are grouped by undertones. One line has a specific undertone. So for instance, here, W line, we have only warm tone shades here. R line, and we have only rose tone shades here, sea line, and we have only cool tone shades here. This idea is stunning. This idea is amazing, and it's a nice kind of trick. It's a nice hint. Same thing here. If we talk about soft palette, all shades are grouped, and you can easily find out which undertone a specific line has. I think that this idea is gorgeous. If we talk about a dramatic palette, it's quite dark. It's quite dark, and it's more for medium and dark skin tones. If we talk about light skin tone, it's way too dark and it's not enough in this case. Ideally, you need an extra palette because we don't have light shades for blending edges. And all looks that you're gonna do using this palette, they are gonna be quite dark. But if we talk about medium skin and dark skin tones, this palette is great. This palette is lovely, and we do have different undertones. Again, that's great. And I think that it's amazing when a palette has fully different undertones. It's just simply user-friendly. That's the thing. Here we have warm tone shades, yellow tone, rose tone, peach tone, neutral, and cool tone shades. If we compare these two palettes, first of all, here we have lighter shades. Second thing, here we have more kind of cool tone shades. Here we have more warmer shades. And if you're a makeup artist, I think it's a nice idea having both palettes, especially if you have girls with different undertones. Because, you know, I realized this summer that I don't have enough dark shades, dark warm shades. I have quite many neutral or light neutral, light cool tones, and I don't really have that many warm tone and dark shades. And that's why I decided actually to take this palette. Now let's discuss all these shades, and let's start from cool tone line. Here we have a classical black shade, metallic with black base. This base is visible, and ideally you should wear this particular shade with something black, because otherwise this black base is going to be visible. As an extra, we have light purple, blue, and golden glitters. This shade is dark brown with gray, with cool undertone, of course. Next line is neutral. This shade, I would say that it's more neutral than this one, and this one contains more gray, while this shade contains a bit of redness. They're still neutral. This one, I mean, it's still neutral, but it's not that gray and it's not that cool tone as this one. And this one looks a little bit kind of darker. This shade, neutral brown, just simply neutral brown metallic shade, might be used as a transition shade, or if you do a smoky eyes, you just simply can apply it on your upper lid. This shade, dark brown with a bit of something redness. This beauty is peachy, and okay, I will raise it a little bit later. First of all, I will describe you the shade, but then I will tell you what I don't really like about this palette. This beauty, it's, how to explain it? Orange, slightly orange shade, a mix of orange and peach and brown, with a bit of something red, but with just a little bit. This shade looks bronzy, a mix of bronze with a bit of peach and with a bit of yellow. Contains extra bronzy glitters. This shade is like dark peach, and it appears more like light brown with orange, with lots of orange and with peach. And these two shades, they look the same on eyelids. Yeah, we're gonna return back to it quite soon. Rose undertone. This shade is mix of a bit of brown with redness and pink. In my case, this shade looks more kind of red on eyelids. If you have dark skin tone with peach with something red as an undertone, this shade would appear more kind of pink in your case. This shade, it's dark pink. Nothing to add. This one looks a little bit lighter than this one, contains exactly the same undertones, a mix of beige with a bit of redness and pink. Yellow. starting from this one, light yellow, I would say even more kind of cool tone yellow with a bit of olive. Interesting shade. Yellow golden, that's it. Contains a bit of champagne shimmers, but just a little bit. This shade, it's a mix of yellow with brown and with a bit of olive. Beautiful, by the way, beautiful shade, like it. This beauty, warm, and our last our last line is warm. And let's start from this shade, a mix of brown with orange, but it doesn't look that orange as this shade. So if we, for instance, watch these two side by side, this one would look more brown, this one would look more kind of orange peach. This beauty is bronzy, and actually these two shades, they look way too similar. I would say that this one looks just a little bit lighter, and we have more glitters here. They are golden and bronze. This shade looks a little bit lighter than this one. It has the same undertone, and here we have kind of a bit more red. Here we have a little bit less red, and this one looks even kind of more neutral. What I don't really like about this palette is that these two guys, and these two guys, if you apply them closely, they look the same. Well, yeah, okay, on swatches, I can definitely clearly see that they are not fully the same. This line, it's lighter than this one. But when you mix and when you blend these shades together, they look so similar. And that's why I would prefer having kind of something either a little bit lighter here or a little bit darker here, for having a bit bigger gap between the shades, because they are way too similar on eyelids. And when I did the looks, sometimes I feel like, oh, I used kind of the same shade. Did you really use different shades? Do I really like this palette? Yes, I do. Do you need it? It depends. If you're a makeup artist and if you work with different clients and if you have darker skin tones, yes, you need this palette. In other cases, you don't need this palette, because you're not gonna use just simply this palette. And if you have cool undertone, this palette is not for you at all, because we have quite many orange peachy shades here, warm tone shades in total. If you have light skin, pale skin, light skin, cool undertone, pale skin, I don't really think that you need this palette. I don't really think so. Let's compare a little bit, and I don't really have that many warm and dark palettes from NATASHA DENONA, and I'm gonna show you just simply one palette from NATASHA DENONA. I need a warm palette, and actually here we have several shades that, you know, they look quite similar to shades from this palette, but still I don't really have that many shades. And this palette is quite good if you have medium skin tone and darker skin tones, and even in case you have light skin tone and warm undertone, this palette is quite okay. But no, we don't really have that many similar shades here. And as well, I decided to find some other palettes that I have and that kind of, you know, might be even close to this palette. And I realized that this palette from Anastasia Beverly Hills looks kind of similar, at least some shades. Look at these guys side by side. I mean, we have quite many shades that look quite similar. Of course, here matte shadows are not that, let's say, new. Formula is a little bit outdated, but the shades, guys, they look kind of close, at least some shades. I still like this palette, and I still think that it's quite okay. And metallics from these palettes, from Anastasia Beverly Hills, they are so thin and so creamy, and I still like them. As well, I thought a little bit about this palette from Huda Beauty, but then I, you know, look at them side by side, I realized that we don't really have any similar shades. Yep, color stories, they look kind of similar. Here we have quite many warm tone shades, here we have quite many dark shades, but when I started to swatch several shades side by side, I realized that no, we don't have any shades that kind of even close to each other's. And as well, I thought about this palette from ColourPop, and I realized again that I don't really have that many that warm tone palettes and that dark palette. It's an eyeshadow palette from ColourPop, as I've told you, and it's called You're Golden. Not that many shades, but still I could find at least some. Sorry, it looks a little bit dirty. I haven't noticed it, but whatever. And look at these dark shades from this palette. Yes, some shades, they look kind of close and quite similar. I like these matte shadows from ColourPop. They are blendable, they are pigmented, you can layer them, but they are dusty. They are way too dusty, and if you compare them, for instance, to NATASHA Denona is not that dusty. But still, some shades from NATASHA Denona are quite dusty. A small tip for you. If you notice that a specific shade is kind of dusty, a specific formula is dusty, grab a little bit, tap of extra, or grab a little bit, make sure that everything is fully spread, and then apply products. And in this case, you shouldn't have any fallouts. And in this case, everything should be blendable, and you shouldn't care whether some eyeshadows are dusty or no. Time to sum up. Time to sum up. I like these new eyeshadow palettes from NATASHA Denona. I don't regret buying them, and I think that I will definitely use both palettes. And it was easy. It was quite easy to work with these eyeshadows, and I like it. And I think that that's great. But I clearly see that some shades are not like the greatest. They have some drawbacks, and there are some shades that with which you should be kind of careful. And I clearly understand that as a consumer, you don't need these two palettes. As a consumer, if you have lighter skin tones, you need this palette. If you have darker skin tones, you need this palette. You don't really need both. Especially if you have more cool undertone, because this palette you're not going to use at all. If you have warm undertone, light skin, or medium skin, warm undertone, you're going to use actually both palettes, and you can use both palettes. And I can't really tell you that I can say, oh, you need these two palettes. You don't need these two palettes. If you have similar palettes, if you have similar shades, I don't really think that you need these palettes. Just simply because they are new. I don't really think so. We don't really have any unique formulas here. We don't really have that many new formulas here. Okay, I do agree that these creamy eyeshadows now, they are great. Level up. But I mean, do you really need buying this palette just simply because of these creamy eyeshadows? Again, I don't really think so. If you don't have a basic neutral palette, yes, it's a nice, these two guys are quite nice. But if you don't have quite many, you can save a little bit, or you can grab them on sales and you can wait for sale. So guys, let me know down below what you think about this new launch from NATASHA Denona. Do you like this palette or no? And are you gonna buy them or no? I hope you enjoyed this video, and if yes, don't forget to put a thumbs up and consider subscribing. I wish you a pleasant day, and I hope to see you soon in the next video. Bye bye.